This is the Thursday, October 8, 2009 meeting of the Zoning Board of Examiners and Appeals. Will you call the roll, please?
Joanna Croft. Here. Holly Sozo. Timothy Bigg. Dean Cars.
Here.
Thomas Van Flyne. Kenneth Burkhart.
Here.
Daniel Freitas.
Here.
Jeff Ron.
Here.
Mike Marsh.
Moving on with our agenda tonight, we have before us the minutes from the July 9th, 2009 meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? Does anyone have any comments on the minutes? Does anyone have any objection to approving the minutes as submitted? Seeing none, those... I think they're approved as submitted unless someone has any objection. The minutes are approved. Special order of, moving on our agenda, the special order of business. Are there any disclosures from any of the board members? Seeing none. That moves us on to the consent agenda. Do you want...
Point of order,
yes,
Mr. Chair. Ms. Croft, do you have an issue on item case F1? It's
I
not...
did. I didn't know when was the appropriate time for...
Doing disclosures.
Okay. On case F1, which is 2009-115, that case was originally heard August 13, and I was not present at that meeting, and so I'm not, I don't believe I'm eligible to vote in that case, since I don't have the background that the rest of the board does on that. And I spoke with staff about that before, and they...
Mm-hmm. And just for clarification, Ms. Croft, sometimes the boards provided the members that are absent with a tape recording of the of that meeting. You have not received
I've not
those
reviewed
tapes?
that.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Croft. So that would put us at 4 members here in that case, which is below even below a short board, which we'll get into most likely here in a minute. So that moves us to the consent agenda. We have one resolution for approval, case 2009-028. Does anyone have any comments or issue with the consent agenda case? I do have one. I don't see it necessary to pull it, but I do, staff, on the first page, it references a September 19th, 2009 public hearing. I would suggest if that item is not pulled, that we could approve that subject to the appropriate date.
That is correct, and since it's on the first page, if you can sign the second page, we'll fix the first page. Okay. If it's approved, thank you.
Is there any further comment or... I believe we need a motion on that approval of the consent agenda. Mr. Ron has moved. Mr. Freitas seconded. Is there any opposition? Seeing none, the consent agenda is approved. Item E on our agenda, appearance requests, we have none this evening. And we're on to our F, unfinished business, public hearings. It's 20 till 7 right now. I'm not sure if there's really a need to have a 5-minute recess. We're 10 minutes past when the meeting should begin. I don't believe we had any indication from Mr. Van Flyne on when he thought he might be in, if he was going to make it. So I would propose, unless open it to any suggestions from the board or staff that we...
Through the chair, the case can't even be heard or acted upon, so what we can do is there's only 4 people here. There's not a quorum to even listen to it or to give the petitioner an opportunity. So what we'll do is automatically move it to the November 12th agenda, and then the petitioner could just go home at this point, and we'll make him first under unfinished business at the same point on the agenda. And I expect we'll have the attendance next time.
And for the record, that is case agenda item F1, case 2009-115.
Correct. And since Ms. Croft can't even act on it or vote on it or say anything on it, it's just not even an issue. Thank you.
So that is on that case. Moving on to our public hearings, H1. We have 3 cases on our agenda for public hearings tonight. I'd like to read the policy regarding postponement of public hearing applications. When there is a short 5-member board or commission and a postponement is offered to and agreed by the petitioner, they will be moved to the next regular agenda. This should occur within 30 days, which does not require renoticing the case, new public hearing notices or advertising. If the petitioner is willing to a postponement but unable to attend the next available meeting date within 30 days, the petitioner has a one-time option only to choose the next date certain he or she can attend at no extra fee. When a postponement is requested by the petitioner, there is a $750 rescheduling fee from AMCR 2120-070A, and a new public hearing date shall be determined by the Department of Community Planning and Development. This will put their case in the next available cutoff date queue as if they were submitting their case for the first time. A fully constituted board has 9 members. We have 5 members in attendance tonight. So what that means is that your cases in order to pass, would need all 5 of the members in attendance to vote in favor of your variance. So that is why we're offering we're considered a short board, and we do offer that postponement. What is the date of the next zoning board meeting?
Through the chair, that is November 12th is the next one, and the one after that would be December 11th, December 10th, I believe. It's the second Thursday, correct? December 10th.
Very well.
And to the chair, we do have a full meeting next time too, so it's if somebody wanted to, in this case, prefer the December hearing instead of the November hearing, that would be fine. I mean, we wouldn't want to necessarily charge the fee because the next meeting is going to be heavy.
Do we know where they'd fall on the agenda for either of those meetings?
Through the chair, anything rolled over from this meeting would be the first items on the next agenda. If they wanted to be on that agenda, on the November 12th agenda, if they wanted to be on the December 10th agenda, they would follow whatever had happened. We do order based on, there's several criteria, such as staffing. For example, if there's only 2 staff members available, we kind of stagger them so one staff member isn't doing 6 hours worth of hearing in a row.
Okay, thank you. So with that in mind, before we call the first case, I'd like to read the order of business for variances. The chair will introduce the case. The board will hear and rule on any objections to the sufficiency of notice. The board will hear a brief staff presentation outlining the case not to exceed 10 minutes. The board may then question the staff. The applicant will give his or her presentation not to exceed 10 minutes. Throughout the proceedings, the burden of proof rests on the applicant to convince the board by a preponderance of evidence that the variance should be granted. After the applicant's presentation, the board and the staff may question the applicant. The staff will have an opportunity to rebut the applicant's presentation not to exceed 3 minutes. The board and the applicant may then question the staff. The applicant will then have an identical opportunity for rebuttal. The hearing will then be open for public testimony. Each person has 3 minutes. After the public hearing, the staff, followed by the applicant, have the right of rebuttal. Then the matter rests with the board. The chair asks for a positive motion from the board. So with that, our first case on the agenda tonight is 2009-039, Louis and Hannah Jarousi. The applicant has indicated they're here. Before there's a staff presentation, should we just ask them to come forward and see if
I would, because in this case they're all probably going to have to be renoticed because of the days of the month. They're all over 30 days and they're going to have to be renoticed anyway. So you might as well give them the opportunity before we even hear anything.
Okay. Could the applicant come forward, please? State and spell your name for the record.
Louis and Hannah Jarousi, last name Jarouussi.
Okay, thank you. And you understand what we're discussing before we get into your individual case?
Yeah.
Well,
I thank you all for taking time to be here to listen to the citizens of Anchorage and their appeals. I would like to take the postponement until December.
okay, that'll be the case 2009-039, their request to postpone to the December meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. So with that moves us on to case. Is there any motion necessary for that, or is that sufficient? Yep. 2009-134, Aaron and James Smith Cohen.
I'm sure they will hear. Aaron Smith Cohen, E-R-I-N, S-M-I-T-H-C-O-H-E-N.
Thank you. And do you understand that we're trying, before we get into the staff presentation on the individual cases, we want to know if the applicants want a postponement
I would like to postpone until November.
for the November meeting? Okay, thank you. Last case, 2009-127, Thomas and Wanda Sanborn. Yes. State and spell your name, please.
My name is Thomas Sanborn, S-A-N-B-O-R-N.
And you understand we're asking if you would like to have your case heard tonight, or if you would prefer a postponement
I prefer a postponement until November.
to the November meeting.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Chair, you've done a masterful job of chairing tonight's meeting.
Of working through that maze of complexity. Yeah. I guess there's not a whole lot to report or comment on this evening. Mr. Burkhart?
I guess I would want to ask Mr. Barrett, in terms of the resolution that came to us on the denial of the variance down in Girdwood, is that going to be resolved administratively with enforcement, or?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Burkhart, thank you for reminding me. Yes, code enforcement's already been, shouldn't say code enforcement because it's actually the watershed management enforcement people are already working with him, so it will be done administratively as a code violation.
What exactly are you talking about there?
Well, that was the one where he thought that maybe he was in a catch-22, that I think the zoning plan review told him that he needed a variance, otherwise he couldn't build his house. And at least there were some board members who thought that that was really an enforcement action and really didn't need a variance.
Oh.
And so I was just wanting some additional background there to make sure that that person wasn't caught in limbo there.
Got it. Okay. Any board members have any comments? With that, we are adjourned until November.